For our opponents, we have an unknown villain. We don't know his style of play. We also have a average Joe or rec player. This is just the normal guy that comes in the casino. Pretty much a target. Old Man Coffee is someone who plays extremely tight, only bets when he has it. A lag is a loose, aggressive player, very dangerous, and also could be very profitable. The Shark, the good reg, kind of guys you have to watch out for. And of course, a new category we're going to call the Baby Zeus tag. Basically, it's someone who's a tight, aggressive player who's just learning how to, expand their game. Well, we're back at Capital Casino, jumping into 1-3 game. It's a fairly passive game so far. There's a $6 straddle on this hand. It's folded around to me from the small blind. I make it $20. Only get action from the big blind player, who is pretty weak and very passive. Flop comes out, Queen 9-3 Rainbow, perfect flop. I bet small, $15, just trying to keep him in. He quickly calls. Turn card comes is not a very good one. It's a 10 of clubs. Puts out a lot of two-pair combinations. I decided to check it to him, and he fires for $35. I'm thinking he actually might have something here. Otherwise, I'll go for a check raise. But with all the possible two-pair combos, I decided just to go ahead and flat. And we get to see a river card, which is probably the best card in the deck that's not an ace. It is a 3. So I counterfeit all those two pair. If he has Queen 10, Queen 9, he would fire. He happened to have the only two pair that he wouldn't, which is 10-9 offsuit. After 1 hour of no playable hands, I finally look down at a pair of 7s for middle position. There's one limper. I race to 15. I get called from the cutoff, the button, and the big blind. The limper ends up folding, so we're going to go 4 ways to this flop with $66 in the pot. Flop comes out, King High with a 6 and a 4. There are 2 hearts on board. Big blind ends up checking. I'm going to go ahead and continuation bet. King definitely hits my range, and it should miss a lot of their calling ranges of those middling cards. I get a quick call from the player in the cutoff. The other 2 players end up folding out. Quick calls usually means they're some sort of drawing hand or a weak hand. If they had something strong, they would actually maybe ponder a raise. Turn card is a 10 of spades. Not great for my hand, but I don't think it helps my opponent much either unless he had specifically King 10. If he has a king with a weak kicker, I don't think he will like to call this bet of $75. And I think he's probably going to fold out most of his questionable draws. So he's either going to be calling me with a flush draw or possibly a strong king. I don't think he has either, so he lets it go. A very loose, aggressive player sat down at the table to my right. He's the same player from last vlog. He has been running over the game. First hand he beat aces, next hand he beat pocket jacks. And here I've been sitting there waiting for over an hour to get involved with him. He opened for a raise. I 3-bet him with pocket 9s to $50. He puts in the call. We see a flop of ace, ace, 6. Pretty good flop for pocket 9s. I don't think he has very much. I bet small just to try to keep a lot of his hands in. He does put in the call. Turn card comes as a 10 of clubs. Not the greatest. He looks like he wants to just throw his hand away. I decided to check it back, feign weakness, see if he want to take a bluff at it. He checks again. I check back. He says he only has 7 high. So I'm just going to take this one down. Can't get him to bluff. Well, if one lag player wasn't enough, we had a brand new one sit down at the table. He's been playing very, very wild, and here he made a $25 straddle. It's folded to me on the button. Normally I put in a pretty good size raise, but I want to get action from him, so I make it a min raise to get the other players to fold out, and he makes the quick call. So the 2 of us are going heads up to a flop, which comes out, ace 10 9. I finally pick up a big hand, and sure enough, the flop comes ace high. Not exactly what you want when you're playing against a lag, and especially when he shoves all in for $289. This is why lag players are so dangerous. He can be shoving all in with an ace. He can be shoving all in with a draw. You really don't know unless you have some additional information. I happen to pick up a tell on this player as to when he had a hand and when he had a draw. He does something different. It's a body language thing. Anyway, he did it this time. He definitely has a draw. And since I can beat all draws, I decided to make the quick call. The most likely draw I'm against, well, let's face it, it's a flush draw. He could possibly have some sort of backup, like maybe even a pair of tens, but I don't think he even has that. Might have a straight draw to go with it. So let's see a clean run out, and we'll take this one down. We see a jack of hearts on the turn and a lousy five of clubs on the river. He does show jack eight of clubs. Of course, this was a monster flop for him. He had not only a flush draw, but he also had an open and straight draw. And I don't blame him for getting it in. Just a little bit unlucky. I made a good call, I believe, and got outrun. All right, here I'm under the gun with pocket sevens, open for a raise to 15. I get called by the baby Zeus on my left, and the loose aggressive player from the previous hand calls also. So we're going to end up going three ways to this flop with $49 in the center. We get a decent flop when it comes out 6-5-3 rainbow. So we have an overpair and a gut shot to a straight. Definitely want to bet this one and make it $25. Player in middle position decides to put in the call. He could have something like a set overpair, but he probably has something pretty decent. And now still the laggy player. He thinks for quite some time and slides out $100. Now he's not giving me the tell that he had, that he's strictly on the draw, so he has something. Well, what does he have? Well, that's the real question. I think I'm probably ahead of his range right now with a pair of sevens. He might be doing this with a hand as like six, ace six. Of course, he could have something like two pair, like 6-5, maybe even a straight. Who knows? He could be playing four deuce for a raise. The other question is, what do I do about the player behind me? His call, flat call. I don't think he has a set, but he might have a pair bigger than mine. And the question is, will he call if I jam? I think the proper play here is just to go ahead and jam and take my chances that the guy behind me is going to fold and get it heads up with the live guy. But I decided to put in the call. I don't know. I'm a little hesitant because the other player was behind me. I thought that if he had a big hand that he wasn't going to let it go. If he had something like 7-8, I could probably get him to fold. Maybe pocket fours, maybe a small overpair like eights or nines. But instead, I called, he called, and then we see the worst possible turn card in the world. It's a deuce of hearts. Puts up an easy straight for anyone with a four, and I just check it. I'm giving up at this point. It does end up getting checked around, which is a little bit surprising. I go, is there a chance that my sevens are good? Well, at least I get a free peek, see if I catch a four, but I don't. I catch a three of hearts. Make two pair with an overpair. That might be good. Player in last position rolled over 6-9 offsuit. I show my pocket sevens with a glim hope that it might be good until the player in middle position shows pocket fours. Well, if I put in a big raise on the flop, I think I might get someone with pocket fours to fold. Looks like we'll never know now. The laggy player opens for a raise to 30. Get two callers, and it comes to me. I got ace-9 suited in the small blind. Could squeeze here occasionally. I decided to take the flop with just a call, and we see a flop that comes out really well. Jack 10-8 with two diamonds. So I got an open-end straight draw, and of course the nut flush draw with an overcard. I check. Laggy player bets for 30. Kind of small sizing for him. Don't think he has too much. Player at the end of the table ends up putting in the fold, and the player on the button puts in the call. Here, I think it's just best to put in a raise. We're going to play a big pot, or I'm going to take it down right here. I make it 150. And instantly, the laggy player folds, and the player on the button doesn't take too long, and he folds also. Well, I'm only stuck about $200 now, but I picked up a pair of kings. Player opens for a raise to 15. Next player puts in the call, and here with kings, I'm going to put in the raise. I make it $60. Player to my left decides that he wants to play for the $60, and he puts in the call. Small blind folds out. Big blind puts in the call, who is the laggy player from before. And the two other players who initially put in the 15 do make the call. So, here we go. 5 ways to a flop with $301 in the center. And I got kings. What could go wrong? Well, Dealer puts out the flop, and it comes ace in the door, followed by a 5 and a 3. It's an unwritten rule that you always get an ace on the flop when you have kings. It does get checked around to me, and I'm definitely going to be checking this with 4 other opponents in here. I'm just going to be giving up on this one unless we get some sort of miracle card to come on the turn. Well, miracles do happen after all. We catch the beautiful king on the turn, and not only that, the lag player fires out for $200. Now, as I said before, he gives his off whether he has a hand or not, and he definitely has a hand this time. The other 2 players end up folding, and it's to me. I have a player behind me, so I'm just going to go ahead and jam this. Just get it all the money in. I put it in. Player behind me folds. He snap calls right away. Seems pretty happy about his hand. We see a 9 come on the river. He shows pocket 3s as I show my kings, and we win this one. Got lucky on that turn card for sure. After losing that hand, that lag player did not return. The other lag player to my right left about 5 minutes earlier to go play some 2-5. So the game wasn't quite the same as it was before, so I decided to pack it up. But here's some bonus hands from the next day. This one was against a friend of mine who I would consider a shark. I opened from early position to $20. He 3-bets me to 65. He's been playing fairly straightforward so far today, so I think he has a premium hand and is just after his buddy's money. Here, it's a toss-up. I can either just fold this now because I know he's not doing this with anything weaker than my hand, or because I'm getting a fairly decent price, go ahead and continue, see if we can flop something and maybe put a little beat on our buddy. Anyway, I put in the call. We head to the flop with 137 in. It comes 9-6-6 with 1 spade. Not very good for my particular hand. I do have a backdoor flush draw, but when he bets $75, I don't think I can really take one off. If he was a lot deeper, if we were both a lot deeper, I might be able to make an argument for seeing if we can make something backdoor. But against his range, I think I probably should have folded pre-flop, but I'm definitely going to be folding now. So I'll just get rid of it, save some money, and see if I can get him later on. Well, it didn't take very long before later on happened. I looked down at 2 kings from the cutoff, open for a raise of 15. He flats behind me. The other players fold out, and just the 2 of us are going to go see a flop. And I think he has a hand like a big ace or a medium-sized pocket pair. Flop comes out 8-8-6. So I don't think he would play pocket 6s. So unless he flop quads, I'm pretty sure I'm in the lead. I fire quickly for 20. He quickly calls. You know I'll c-bet with most of my range. 5 comes on the turn. I decided to check to see if he would take a little bite. He would bet any pocket pair he had, so now I'm thinking he just has ace highs, maybe ace queen, ace jack suited. So when the board pairs the end, I think he's going to be calling me down. So I bet out $60 into a $77 pot, hoping to get a crying call from him. And after some thought, he decides that he's going to stick it in. I show him the kings, and he quickly releases his hand. So how we do? Well, we ended up winning $490. Most of it came by hitting that set of kings on the turn in that one pot. Very, very nice to actually have a big hand stand up. Overall, I didn't have very many hands to play, and when I did, I got the most of it, I think. I kind of wish I raised with those pocket 7s in that one spot. I don't know whether my opponent would end up calling and felting me, but it would have been, I think, a better play than the one I made. I do appreciate all your support. Thanks for watching, and until next time, good luck at the tables, and we'll see you back here soon.